Welcome to the Healing Revolution podcast, where we challenge the status quo of conventional healthcare and explore the boundless potential of holistic healing. I'm your host, Nicole.
And I'm your other host, Isabel. Here we'll delve into the power of neuroscience, the wisdom of ancient Chinese medicine, the intricacies of epigenetics, and the profound impact of nutrition and spiritual mentoring. Join us as we uncover the secrets of holistic health, empower you with knowledge, and inspire you to take control of your well being.
This is more than a podcast, it's a revolution in how we understand and achieve health. Let's embark on this journey together and revolutionize the way we heal. Welcome back to the Healing Revolution podcast. Today I'm joined here with Michele Morris, who is co-founder of Nurses with a Mission and considers herself an endocannabinoid specialist. She is a registered nurse with 28 years bedside experience in the mainstream medical system. She found the true answers to health and wellness in plant and mushroom therapies. She and her business partner, Holly Bidlack, now coach individuals and communities on the benefits of cannabis and functional mushrooms as a valuable option for health. Nurses with a Mission prides themselves in filling in the knowledge gaps between the existing healthcare model and the ancient science of natural medicine. Both Michele and Holly have improved their own lives and the lives of hundreds of clients over the past 6 years, mainly with hemp and mushrooms and basic lifestyle changes. Welcome, Michele.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So you've been working in the medical field for 28 years now. What was sort of the turning point for you to transition to more like holistic modalities?
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it when it's said out loud that it's been that long. I think
Yeah,
I
that's a
just
long
graduated
time.
from college.
Oh, really?
No, I feel like, oh, I just graduated from college and it was
Oh.
28 years ago. Um, I think it's the same catalyst that most other people have when they realize they're not getting better, when
Mhm.
they feel like their health is in decline and they're following, I was following all the recommendations of other healthcare professionals, the physical therapist, the massage therapist, my chiropractor, and, I was doing a lot of yoga and even introduced Pilates, but my back pain still was getting worse and worse and worse, and it was becoming debilitating. And that's when I had to figure it out on my own, basically.
Mhm. Yeah, and you had back pain from working in
Yeah.
bedside.
So as long as I can remember, even before I was a nurse, I worked as a nursing assistant, and that's pretty common to do when you're in nursing school.
Mhm.
And, you go from, even if you played sports in high school, you go from sitting at a desk most of the time and having intermittent exercise to being on your feet like 40, 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that's, I had major foot problems and then, the heavy lifting and all that it ended up being neck problems initially and then lower back problems. So by the time I was 25, I was hurting. I was
Yeah,
hurting
you
already. And
spent.
I suffered pretty much for the next 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
And of course, I hate to dog modern medicine, but they just didn't have the any sort of remedy for you, right? Like they didn't have any sort of options that will actually at least manage the pain. Most of the time, it's a medication, but even then, that wouldn't have touched it because it's at that point a structural issue.
Yeah. I chose not to use the medications. And really, what kept me afloat in the beginning was chiropractic care and lots of it.
Hmm.
um, More and more and more frequently. And then physical therapy, I do about, and then I'd feel better. And then, there were times where I could do lots of my own exercise at the gym, but other times my back would go out, so to speak, and I'd need injections. And it just got to be a cycle where it was harder and harder for me to go to work. And I was working less and less when I should have been at the peak of my career, working more.
Hmm.
Um, but yoga felt good. And so I did a lot of yoga and I started to research why it was helpful.
Hmm.
Um, and then my now business partner, Holly Bidlack, called me one day and said, I'm going to try this holistic remedy with my family. My whole family's going to try it. We have a bunch of different issues, and we're going to try it as a family. What do you think? And it was CBD. And I didn't even know what it was, but I said, I will try it because I'm kind of at my wit's end.
Yeah.
I was thinking about leaving the nursing profession because I didn't really want to do anything besides bedside nursing. I couldn't imagine not being at the bedside. I liked my job a lot. I loved my job and I wanted
Hmm.
to stay in it, but it
Yeah.
was too painful. So CBD, we didn't know what we were doing. We just started using it and it helped immensely.
How long did you notice effects of your pain wearing off when you started using it?
For me personally, this is an unusual case. because most people want this quick effect, but it was about 2 weeks, 10 days to 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
I
Wow,
woke up
that's
one
fast.
morning and had no back pain for the first time in 20 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Hmm.
You're like,
And
where
I
has this
didn't
been
even
my
know
whole
what I
life?
was doing. Like I didn't even know if the what product I was taking good. I didn't know if I was taking it correctly. All I know is that it worked.
Hmm.
And Holly was having great benefits with her family too. So we got to talking about it. Um, and we just gradually our health shifted huge,
Wow.
both
So,
of our
so
families.
yeah, that's amazing. So you help other people with pain management using CBD. Is there anything else that you help them with besides pain management?
All the things.
Yeah, because CBD does a ton of different things.
Yeah, so if there is an imbalance, if you have a symptom that you're noticing, it's because there's an imbalance in your body somewhere. And your
Hmm.
body has the ability to heal itself, but you need to give it the right tools. And essentially, that's what you're doing with supplementation, and CBD is something you can supplement with. So
Right,
it
right,
definitely
right.
help people with. I mean, when I first started this journey, it was pain for me.
Hmm.
And it was other things with Holly's family, but it helped us all the same. So we just started to talk about how helpful it was with all the things that we were finding success with, and more people came, kept coming to us with, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I mean, you name it.
Hmm.
Um, it's because of some sort of imbalance that, you know, the endocannabinoid system could possibly have something to do with.
Yeah. And when we say like the endocannabinoid system, can you share briefly kind of what that system is? Because I feel like it's such an under talked about topic.
Yeah, and good luck asking any health and healthcare professional in the traditional allopathic system to
Yeah, because I have
explain
no
it,
idea.
because nobody's teaching us about it. And I will be the first one to say, no, I didn't know about it. I had to do my own Google deep dive. But the endocannabinoid system is a real thing. It is a neurotransmitter signaling system that we all have. All mammals have it, even your
Mhm.
pets have it. And it's responsible for creating balance in your body, what's called homeostasis. So when we have symptoms, they are a sign of imbalance. And our endocannabinoid system's job is to try to keep balance as much as it can, but it can't do that in most of our current, like, the way that our lives are. We're not eating right. There's lots of toxin exposure. There's lots of radiation. All those things deplete your body's ability to function, for the endocannabinoid system to function. So by giving CBD and other plant therapies, you can actually supplement, kind of like a vitamin deficiency.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
because most of us probably need endocannabinoid support. Like you said,
mhm.
we're so bombarded with toxins, pesticides, pollutants in the air, our water, our food, obviously. Everything's so.
Even our thoughts can become toxic, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
huge. Mindset is almost, in my opinion, one of the most important things to work on first in your healing journey.
Right,
So
right.
how, when you're working with clients, how do you integrate cannabis into like a holistic health and nutrition plan?
I try not to overcomplicate it. Many people have thought, and they've overthought about it. They just don't understand how simple it can be. It doesn't have to involve going to dispensaries. There are great products at dispensaries, but many people, when they're what they're looking for, they don't need to go to a dispensary. They just don't understand that.
Hmm.
And that's a big hurdle for many people. They're intimidated by that. So if I can remove that hurdle and let them know they don't have to go to a dispensary, we can figure things out just by starting with one particular delivery method that they feel comfortable using and creating a habit with.
Yep.
It can be as simple as that. And so some of the misconceptions are, I'll have to smoke it. You absolutely don't have to smoke it. You
Right.
can ingest it. You can, use delivery methods that can be private, that nobody even needs to know that you're doing it if you have to dose yourself at work or so forth. Um, just keep it very simple and not in, introduce too much change all at once.
Yeah, that's huge because it is such a delicate system. Like I think I shared with you when I started CBD, um, I needed such a low dose. I think I needed like 4 drops a week because the like quality matters. I mean, not all products are created equally. I say that all the time about supplements, and it's the same thing with CBD products.
Yep.
The equality matters because, pesticides, again, you don't know their growing practices. You can find it at a gas station, and that has tons of chemicals in it that you just don't need. Um,
Mhm.
Yeah, I've had clients that regularly smoke cannabis, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I have seen that it has caused stress on their body. So my th first thought is, what brand are you using? Where are you getting it from? Let's shift to using a different brand to see if that's still causing stress on your body,
Yeah.
because um, otherwise it can impact their healing journey and slow things down for them.
Yeah, quality is it's just as important as with anything else.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
definitely.
Hmm.
Um, so can you explain the difference between THC and CBD in terms of their roles in health optimization?
Mm, I could do a whole hour on this.
Well, it is like everybody's like, well, that's the stuff that makes you high, right? Like if you say hemp or
Yeah,
cannabis, they're like,
basically,
oh,
yeah, that's
yeah.
that's really what people think about when they think cannabis, they think THC.
Hmm.
But remember that cannabis is just one, it's a genus, all right? And there's many different species underneath the genus. Like, for example, there's trees. There's how many thousands of different types of trees, right? There's oak trees, there's maple trees, there's pine trees. They're all trees, but they're different. They have different compounds that make them up.
Hmm.
There's cannabis, but there's many different types of cannabis. There's hemp, there's marijuana, there's ruderalis, which is a form of hemp that is used for industrial use, like making fiber and rope and things. Like they're all cannabis, but you're not
Hmm.
going to smoke ruderalis, right?
Right.
And it's not all just THC heavy cannabis. Um, they both have benefits, but if you can remember or learn, if this is new to you, that cannabis is made up of hundreds of different compounds. And we're just so focused on these two compounds, but there's so much more to it.
Hmm.
Like any other plant, it's not just one or two compounds, it's hundreds, if not thousands of different compounds that make up a plant.
Right.
There's so much benefit in the whole of the plant, no
Right.
matter if it's hemp or marijuana. So that's the first thing. It's not the marketing that's out there focuses on CBD and THC, but it's a lot more than that.
Right. It's like any other herb out there, like
Mhm,
the tinctures that we sell, like,
mhm,
holy basil, kava kava, lemon balm, all of those are the name of the herb. But if when you place the herb and soak it in alcohol or a glycerin extract, it extracts all of the compounds.
mhm.
There's hundreds of them in every herb, and you're never going to know every single one of them, but they all do different things. So that's why, herbs are one of the best things you can use when it comes to correcting your health because of all the
Mhm.
compounds that they have, because all of them do different things, whether it's supporting your mental state, detoxification, digestion, they do all these different things. And so that's a good point.
Yeah, and that's why when someone says, "Well, what do you have for sleep and what do you have for pain?" There's so much overlap. It's not like Western medicine where you take a pill and it's just going to do this one thing because that's what it's designed in the lab to do.
Right.
Plants are just they're very integrative. So,
They help with
um,
everything.
yes. But the main thing people think of is the THC, the marijuana, whatever you want to call it, high THC cannabis is psychoactively, it can be impairing.
Hmm.
In general, hemp, CBD, which can have some THC, but very, very tiny, if not zero amounts, it can lift your mood and it can be psychoactive, but it's not impairing.
Yeah.
So psychoactive, like beneficial to lift mood and help smooth nervousness, but not impairing. So those are like the main differences, I would say.
Mhm.
And there's aspects to THC where it's going to go into your body and interact directly with the CB1 receptors, which I'm not going to get into all that today. But
Yep.
there's an indirect activity of CBD in your system. So while there are benefits to both, the safety profile is a lot greater with CBD. There's a lot more grace that you can have with dosing and things like that than THC. THC can build a dependence on it, and also it's dose related to toxicity. So people can start having more side effects at different levels. Like your level of toxicity is different than the next person. And so when we hear a lot of bad information about cannabis, it's because people are in that toxic window.
Right.
Um,
That makes
and
sense.
and there's so many things that you can do with hemp to help with the symptoms that you're trying to manage without ever having to worry about a toxic window in the way
Right.
THC does. So I hope that makes sense.
No, that
Um,
makes total sense. I can share you. I think I might have shared this with you before, but I'll share it on the podcast for people that might be skeptical or they might still not understand it. But I remember when used to work at the health food store down the street, there was a couple that came in. They were elderly, and the husband had really bad seizures. And the seizure medication w wasn't working. They kept having to increase his dose, still nothing. So we had him try the CBD that we sold at the time. Again, the quality is probably not the same as the stuff that you and I talk about, but at the time, that was what we sold.
Mhm.
And she came back with him maybe like a month later and said that the seizures have completely stopped. And so they were a regular customer for until we closed, so about 2 years. And
Mhm.
for 2 years, he never had a seizure using CBD. And he was not high. It was just the
Mhm.
CBD, those plant compounds that really helped him, which I think is really incredible.
Yeah, and honestly, like there are act formal studies focusing on CBD and epilepsy and seizures, and there is a an FDA approved drug made from CBD for certain type of seizure management. So that's a real thing, and there's been research put into that.
Hmm.
Um, so there are certain things that you can focus on with hemp versus marijuana. The other misconception, I think many people feel that they're anxious, excuse me, so they're anxious, so they want to use high THC products. But over time, that's actually going to work against you, where you're going to get a better anti-anxiety component from using hemp products
Yep.
because as the THC accumulates, it actually causes more anxiety and more paranoia. And so I think that's where some of the
Hello.
negative, yeah. Unfortunately, if you've experienced, unfortunately, but also good if you've personally experienced it, because then you can understand and explain it to others. But brand new
Definitely.
people that go into dispensaries and just don't know where to even begin, um,
Hmm.
they end up sometimes having bad experiences. And I really try to help avoid any of that from happening. Start
Right.
with,
And that goes back to that toxic load. And I think people don't realize, like, yeah, you don't need a prescription to take a supplement or to take CBD or THC or anything like that, but it's always best to talk to a practitioner of some sort that knows what they're doing, that knows what they're talking about for your safety, you know what I mean? So if you can ask them a few questions, hey, a little bit about their health history, what their goals are, what they've got going on, then you can make more of an accurate recommendation. Whereas if they're going on TikTok and they're learning all about CBD, that's all cherry-picked science that they've taken from these studies, and it's just they've blown it up to make it seem like it's this, end all be all, this one compound or whatever, this one product. But it's just not the case. It's so important to make sure you talk to somebody who knows what they're doing because,
and that
again,
person
it
needs,
can have
I
bad
need
effects.
a chance to get to know the person. I can't just make a blanket recommendation. I need to know
Exactly.
about them, their habits, their state of health when they're beginning, what their preferred delivery method is. Like there's so much to it, and
Yep,
all of that equates to success
exactly.
or not.
Yeah, I can or not.
Got to figure it out on your own.
Well, yeah, and you talked about dosing a little bit. I know for me, obviously, like we do the muscle testing for dosing, but is there any sort of format that you follow for dosing, or is it just you personalize based on what you know about the person? Like, how does the dosing work?
I can very solidly tell you that as a member of the American Cannabis Nurses Association, which is a real thing, been
That's
around
really
for 10
cool.
years, um, there's been research on this, and all practitioners will tell you you always want to start with the lowest possible dose and gradually increase. You
Hmm.
never just want to start with like this big heavy hitting dose for new people, because you don't know where their what quote unquote sweet spot is, you know. So microdosing is really the best way to start, tiny doses. Um, and so there's no it's herbalism. There's no like start with so many milligrams. So many times health professionals that are used to dealing with prescriptions want to know how many milligrams they need to be taking. It's not like that. It's like we're going to microdose. Like who cares
Finding
what
your
the
dose, yeah.
concentration is? We're going to microdose in drops or
Hmm.
tiny pieces of an edible and just kind of see how we feel and give our bodies grace to respond. So just starting low and going slow. That would be
Yeah.
my answer
No,
always.
that's perfect. That's my mantra. Start low, go slow. I think some
Mhm.
people, especially when they come in the store, they're like, more is better, right? I'm like, well,
Mm-mm.
no, not necessarily.
No, that's supersize me mentality that started with fast food, and it doesn't equate to benefit in holistic health at all.
At all, right?
Mm-mm.
You did mention a few misconceptions about cannabis as a wellness tool. Is there any other misconceptions we should know about?
Mm. I did mention, people think cannabis, you have to smoke it. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
That's a big one.
I think the drops are the way to go in my experience. But again, everybody's different.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a personal thing. There's so many different options out there now, and I'm not bashing smoking. It's just there's many people who will not even look at this as an option because they're put off by the smoking aspect. So we can just wipe that aside. There are other
Right.
options. Misconceptions. Um, Even though this is CBD has been, hemp has been legal since 2018, there's so many people out there that still think it's all pot. It's all the same, it's all pot. Um, just because it's been ingrained in our society for so long. But hemp is legal and there's all the same compounds that are in a high THC cannabis plant and in a hemp or a low THC cannabis plant, but just in different proportions. So there's
Mhm.
plenty of benefits. So another misconception would be that, well, I have a lot of pain or I have a lot of, whatever the disease is or issue imbalance, it's a lot. So I have to go to a dispensary. It's like you don't have to start there. You may
Right.
end up there, but not understanding all the benefits that hemp can bring. I mean,
There's
look at
so many.
myself.
Yeah.
Look at all my healthcare providers that are using this stuff. It's helping us immensely, and we have big problems, you
Yeah.
know.
There is definitely a pain epidemic. And if I may share, going back to, oh, I have to smoke it. I personally think that's probably one of the least favorable formats of ingesting cannabis in my experience, just because um, I've had clients, family members that will use cannabis in that way. And from my experience, whenever I'm muscle testing them, their adrenals always come back deficient, and that's almost always the culprit. And so it can weaken the adrenals when we're smoking it consistently. And then also, it can also feed a yeast problem if we smoke it.
Hmm.
Systemic yeast feeds on marijuana. But again, it does depend on the quality too. So
Right,
that's
right.
huge.
As with everything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Another reason, and again, not bashing smoking because there's certain aspects that it really is necessary. Like if we're
Yeah.
talking cancer patients or whatever, um, there's there's benefit to. I just lost my train of thought.
I hate when
Excuse
that
me.
happens.
Um, your body, okay, so I hadn't really gotten into the endocannabinoid system and how it works, but you are making endocannabinoids all the time. That's why it's called the endocannabinoid system. You're making compounds that interact with the endocannabinoid system. Endocannabinoids, plants make phytocannabinoids, and your body recognizes the plant compounds as very much like their own. But
Mhm.
when you're making them all the time. It's a dynamic system. You're making them, and the enzymes in your body are breaking them down at all times. So it's better to ingest in some way and have it be a more steady amount in your body than to smoke where you get a lot of um you get a lot, it peaks. The benefit of the compounds peak and then you get like, kind of the letdown. And that's
Mhm.
why people feel like it becomes habitual, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So
Right.
it becomes a habit, a habitual habit, and it may become an intrusive habit, depends on what your lifestyle is like. But when you're ingesting, you can get a better like level coverage because the half-life of the compounds are going to stick around in your body longer.
Mhm. Oh, wow.
And honestly, when you supplement CBD, it helps the 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 endocannabinoids that you make, it helps them stay around and functioning longer.
Oh,
So it gives
wow.
them like a little bit of a support network. So you're
Mhm.
not going to get the same support from just smoking.
Interesting. That's
I
good
hope
to
that
know.
makes sense, even though
Yeah,
I
that
had a
makes total
lapse
sense.
there.
No, it's okay. It's Monday.
The holiday weekend, and I talked to probably 100 people yesterday at the event I did, so my brain
Oh,
is
awesome. Did you
fried.
have an event for CBD for the CBD?
Yeah, I just try to do like farmers markets and things like that just to get out and talk to people and break these misconceptions. So
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I love that. You're doing amazing work. So I know we talked about like dosing for individual needs, but how do we tailor or how do you tailor cannabis recommendations based on the individual needs of their health condition? So is it there different strains or is there different products that you would recommend?
I first look at the person and what they are going to be capable of doing.
Hmm.
Like, are they going to be capable of really going like headfirst into a full-on regimen, dosing, microdosing throughout the day? Like how amenable are they going to be to integrating this? Do they need like something they can take once a day that's going to give them full coverage and then they can kind of forget about it? Or are they really into microdosing with tincture? How do they feel about different delivery methods? Do they have like a sensory thing about using edibles and they really don't want to? And I have to look at their preferences because if they don't like something that I think is going to be helpful to them and they don't do it regularly, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Just identifying what their comfort level is and their comfort level, what their level of involvement is, like what do they want to get out of this? What is the time period they want to see benefit in? If they come to me and say they want to feel 100% in 2 weeks, then I'm going to tell them that's not realistic.
Yeah, because I didn't get there overnight. Don't you love when people are
Mhm.
like that? It's
Mhm.
like you're reaching for the stars, though, you know?
Yeah, you might feel better in certain ways, but we cannot get to 100% in 2 weeks. I mean, that bodies aren't, this is not
No.
like a movie on TV where everything's like instant.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I mean that's like step one to being a good practitioner is just meeting them right where they're at. Because like in my experience, it takes a long time to get well. I mean, you're removing stress from the body by supporting the endocannabinoid system in your case. For me, when it's working with nutrition and other supplements and herbs. But either way, it's all removing stress from the body as we change the chemistry. So most people notice a difference within at least 5 to 7 days, maybe less, maybe more, depending on the person. But then that's kind of like the telltale. I'm like, are they going to continue? Because they're like, oh, I feel better. I don't need to take it anymore. And it's
Mm.
not how it works. You have to keep building on those
Right.
habits so that the pain or whatever it is that they're dealing with doesn't come back.
Right. Yeah. I mean, your body is starting to respond, but the root cause, I mean, it still needs time.
Right, exactly. What should somebody look for when choosing cannabis products for therapeutic use? We talked
Mm.
about like, quality and stuff like that. So what would
Sourcing,
be?
sourcing is so big. I think people buy a lot of supplements like it's an emotional decision,
Hmm.
especially if they're not working with a practitioner. It is all emotional. It's like somebody told them that this helped them, or they liked the packaging, or they saw it on Instagram. But where is it sourced? How is it made? Like,
Hmm.
what's it made from? Like, and to know that really, I mean, cannabis can be highly regulated if it's in dispensaries,
Hmm.
but hemp is not very well regulated at all, and it's everywhere.
Right.
And so you mentioned earlier, like, it's at the gas station, I see it at like, farm supply places, at shoe stores. It's crazy.
Yeah, which is so random.
It's crazy. Like, do you really think there's going to be health and wellness products of any quality at a gas station? I mean, like, just stop. Like, don't buy those products because if it's a company worth anything, they're not going to be selling in those places. I'm not using any names of companies, but you really want to find practitioners that can look at the traceability and transparency of these companies. If you can't figure out where the product was actually grown, just because it says made in USA does not mean anything.
Right.
It can come over from China in a 55-gallon drum and be labeled and packaged and bottled here and say it's made in the USA, but it's not.
Yeah.
So if the person if the company that sells it to you can't tell you exactly where it's grown, like where are the farms? I don't mean the address, but I mean like are they in the United States? That's really important.
Yeah.
How accessible is the company itself to customer service? Because companies that have a lot to hide, they don't make themselves accessible. So if they're selling
Mhm.
crap product and they're just trying to make a buck, you're never going to get anyone on the phone, or your emails responses may be vague.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I wouldn't buy anything. I don't buy anything, don't make an impulse buy, I guess is what I'm saying. If you can't look at the lab testing and it's current and it's for that batch and it's not for something, it's not like one lab test on the website in general. Like that's a big red flag. Like, and you're
Yeah.
not necessarily going to know how to interpret this type of stuff. That's where a practitioner that is used to working with us um, comes in. We can
Right.
read lab testing. We can tell you if it's relevant, it's not relevant, because this is something you're going to take multiple times a day indefinitely for many people. And so
Hmm.
even if there's tiny bits of residual solvents or pesticides in it, that is going to accumulate in your body. You really want to have the cleanest possible product that you can. So
Yeah.
USDA certified organic is great if you can find a product like that, but also still should have some lab testing, third-party lab testing, not done by the company itself.
Right. You need brands that are very transparent, that they have
Hmm.
nothing to hide. They're not worried about it. They know their quality.
Yep.
It's very important.
Yep.
Um, because I think I might have shared with you before, but even with supplements, like not all supplements are created equal, and you don't know where they're coming from. Pharmaceutical medications, as you know, are petroleum based, and there are some supplements on the market that are also petroleum based. So you have to be so
Yeah.
careful what you're taking. And
Yeah.
I also think
Sure.
when we talk about, you need to work with a practitioner, that means like one-on-one, not like the TikTok practitioners that like, oh, this is what helps you lose weight, and they just, give you a whole protocol. It's really important to work with somebody one-on-one.
It is. And honestly, people are put off many times because they're scared about the expense of having a paid coaching session. Or, I mean, most people, like I as well, I will offer people a free call, 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
That's not going to cost you anything. And if you can get some free knowledge, like, why not? And
Yeah.
it'll help you understand what your options are instead of just deciding, I can't afford this. How do you
Yeah.
know?
Well, also, what is your health worth to you?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if your pain is worth it,
Right.
you can afford your pain, but you can't afford your healing.
Yeah. I will say the the most annoying thing people say to me is, am I going to have to take this for the rest of my life?
We're already on medications.
Well, if you got all these benefits, if you were able to sleep, if your pain, dissolved or decreased immensely so you could have a better quality of life, so you could play with your grandkids, so like you could go to the gym again, like you could travel and all these things, like how much is that worth to you? And chances are you won't need to be on this for the rest of your life in the same capacity, because as we heal we need less product. That's a whole other animal that
Yeah.
happens more so with hemp than the dispensary products, is that people don't build a tolerance
Hmm.
and they do unwind a lot of this dysfunction. So I have many clients that barely take any product anymore. They take a very low maintenance. But when we started, they took a lot of product because they had a lot of imbalance and dysfunction. But over time, that's all unwound
Hmm.
and they do great. And yeah, they do have to take it for the rest of their lives. I mean, they don't have to. There's no withdrawal or anything, but it still is very supportive and it can be such a great preventative,
Exactly. Yeah. I
which
think
is
a
the
maintenance plan for any protocol that you're on is so important.
Mhm.
It's
Yep.
like, as maintenance is huge. Whether it's nutrition, whether it's CBD, whether it's supplements, like you said, you're going to take less because the demands of your body are going to be less.
Mhm.
But maintenance is huge because you don't want to fall back into what you started with.
Right. And in our culture, we are obsessed with just fixing things that we have symptoms for. And then if we don't notice a symptom, that we don't need to do anything. It's like, no,
Yeah.
proactive preventative care is how we stay out of the hospital system.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
and we need to do more of that.
And I'm
So
sure you've
yeah.
probably seen like they're already overloaded. So if we can get more healthy people,
Hmm.
hospitals will be able to take a breather and you won't
Hmm.
have to deal with as many patients that don't feel good.
I know. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But nobody's coming to save you. Like, if you really need to look at your own health, and if you don't have any intuitive thoughts about what could help you, then find someone you feel comfortable with and start working with them. And
Hmm.
then you'll begin to learn things about yourself and your own body that maybe you just have never taken the time to experience. And you will become a competent care provider for yourself, but you have to start somewhere.
Right. You have to be your own advocate.
Mhm.
This is awesome. So if somebody wants to book an appointment with you or Holly, how would they get in touch with you?
You can go to our website, which is nurseswithAmission.com, and fill out, there's a very short health survey. One of us will call you back and give you, a free 15, 20-minute conversation to see where you might like to go.
Mhm.
That's probably the best way to get a hold of us. We are here and there around the South Shore doing free events and paid events. So we do have a calendar of events on our website that I know my job will be updating today. But we try to do some free and some paid,
Okay.
for all ages too. It's not, we recently had a library put an educational program out that, for us, and they somehow, whoever who put it on the website, advertised it, you must be over 21. I'm like, no,
Kids
you
can take
don't need to
CBD.
be. Yeah, it was just the history of cannabis. Like, this is a history lesson. You don't need to be 21 to listen to the history of
Yeah.
how it got here and all of that. So I was like, please remove that. We really want to be inclusive and we want all ages to come to these things. That's
Yeah.
why we're doing them in public venues.
We'll have to collaborate again and do some sort of events here. Yep.
Love
Event
to.
space here. That'd be awesome.
Because your endocannabinoid system, it can be supplemented with cannabis, but it also can be supplemented by many other things. So
Mhm.
it's really an integral part of every mammal, which is
Yeah,
all of us. And you should understand the basics of how it works.
definitely.
Mhm.
100% agree. I love this. Thank you so much for being here and for doing this.
I'm happy to be asked.
Yeah. Is there any last or final thoughts that we should take home with us?
Um, I think I scream from the rooftops every time I do an event, but since this is a way to share as well,
Yeah,
do not underestimate the preventative benefits of using plant medicine. We do
period.
not need to wait until the shit hits the fan, so to speak.
Yeah, no, it's
Like
true.
it just take care of what's little before, so don't wait till your body's screaming. Like listen to your body when it's whispering. And if you're not sure if CBD could help with that, I mean, just reach out to us. This is what
Yeah.
we do.
You know, my mentor has a really great saying. He said that the body is very much like a car. You know how you have like the engine, you have the transmission. I know nothing about cars, but I can I can compare it to the human body, okay? And you know, it's like a machine. Our bodies are very much a machine. So if the engine in the car goes or the transmission or something isn't working optimally in the car, eventually it'll start to affect the other systems. In the
Mhm.
same way with our body,
Yes.
there's pain, if there's inflammation, if there's acne, if there's this, that, the other thing, that's sort of like the check engine light coming on, or there's some light coming on in your car that's telling you there's something that needs to be fixed. So,
That's a great way of looking at it. Yep, it's so
mhm.
true. It's all we're not com compartmentalized the way the allopathic medical system likes to think we are a heart, we are lungs, we are
Yeah,
hips. You know, it's just like, no, we're all integrated. And when one thing starts to go awry, it does affect other things.
definitely. Yeah. I know. I can't stand how simplistic they try to make the human body be. It just doesn't work that way.
It just makes it's more and more complex when you try to separate things. Everything is a whole. And that's a big part of a big shift in mindset when people work with holistic practitioners. It's like we're not separate things. We are a whole, and everything that you do, it affects, all your systems. You just may
Yeah.
not be aware of it.
Right. We're treating the person, not the disease or not the diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
Forget the
huge.
labels. Just words. Forget the labels.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, yeah, that's a whole other different podcast. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the healing revolution and helping people heal. We'll have all of your links to being able to find you, book an appointment with you, learn more about what you do and any upcoming events in our show notes. And yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me.